eating. It's
No,
not.
I mean, if you include the dry fasts in the juice fast,
If
is it
you're
like,
doing juicing, it's easy. So if you're doing only juicing and then you do intermittent dry fasting, you get to the glycolysis, which is where your body starts to burn that excess glycogen in your liver faster. You understand? Because
yeah, that's the
you have
question.
less burden of digestive burden, and you're not consuming so much that you're glycogen loading the liver. You understand? So it takes less time for you to get there.
Yeah, that was my question. Yeah.
Yes. So if you've gotten used to your body, if you're only drinking, let's say 3 juices a day, and they're a certain amount, and then you do, a 20-hour dry fast, you're going to get to glycogen, but it's still not enough, because your body's still not in fasting mode when it burns through glycogen. Then it has to go into ketosis. Then it starts to go to tap into your fat reserves. And until you've gone into ketosis and start to break down fat for energy, after you've burned through all of your digestion that you had in your digestive system, after you've burned through all the glycogen, now your body goes into tapping into your fat. And it's only once it starts to utilize fat and releasing ketones into your blood, the acetone and acetate and some other chemicals, you don't even start. So it takes you literally 24 hours, and that is if you have low body fat, and that is if you are juicing or eating very low density foods that are not creating glycogen loading, that you start to actually go into any type of healing or cleaning up. It takes at least 24 hours. And that is if you have ideal conditions, which means your body fat is super low, you don't eat a lot, you eat very little low density food like fruit or even juices, and then you are not overeating. So and most people who are like on keto diets or low carb diets, and then they do intermittent fasting, you're going nowhere. It's nice for your body to take a break, and not have to digest for a certain period of time. It's nice, it's good for the body. But as far as any kind of deep healing, cleansing, nothing's happening. It's the difference between, if you're working every single day, and 7 days a week, let's say you're working, and you only have this many hours out of the day that's outside of work. Let's say you work 9 hours a day, and then you sleep this many hours a day, and you have only, 4 or 5 hours to yourself to have stuff done. And you wanted to get your hair done, your nails done, you maybe wanted to go to the gym, just not enough time to do all of that. Unless you free up the weekend where you have a whole block of time to do that. Then you can get to the point where you can leave your house, you can make an appointment to go somewhere. It's the same for the body. If you only give it, this much time during the day to do something, and simply not enough time.
Ivanna, I wanted to ask, first of all, I want to add that on the liquidarian lifestyle, I start getting really, like, after about 24 hours of dry fast, I start getting those symptoms like nausea, like things like that. So it makes sense. But I wanted to ask why people that come to dry fasting, let's say for 24 hours, from any kind of diet, they do start usually getting different symptoms on their second day. They then like such as nausea, such as tiredness, and other things that they might consider to be detox symptoms. But you're saying
these symptoms of tiredness, nausea, headache, these are the symptoms of ketosis. This is when your body starts to break down fat for energy and releases the ketones into your blood. This is where the headache comes from. This is where the nausea and this is when you've actually entered ketosis. And once that passes, once you stop having those symptoms, once that passes, that's when you actually start to now enter into the cleansing stage. Until that stage of is over, and sometimes, and I've had instances of this where I've had the headache for more than 24 hours. Like this can be, your body can go through this for some time depending on how overloaded your body is. The cleaner your body, the shorter these periods that you're going to feel the nausea, the discomfort. And also the cleaner your body down the line, you may not even have them at all.
Yeah, I find it so interesting because I'm also now on a juice fast or juice cleanse or juice feast, and I'm on day 29 actually. So I do every other day 24 hours, and it's interesting. So and then the days in between I just have a 2 hours window of drinking, so I really don't drink then the next day the whole day. But what I've been noticing lately is like whenever I do the dry fast, so the last, as you say, Arik, the last 3 hours are the most difficult ones, right? So to speak, or 2 hours. But it's so sometimes so funny because I get so tired and then suddenly out of the blue it vanishes. You know, it's like it's really like, and you know, it's really fascinating that I really felt the shift, you know, and then I still stop because my mind says to stop, which is not the body says to stop, right? But I found it just really interesting. Then out of the blue you get, and I've been water fasting in the past, but yeah, out of the blue, somewhere else the energy comes, or you release something. I haven't figured out scientifically or chemically, but I find it very interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Ivana. And I also wanted to ask, how does ketosis work for people with really low percentage of fat, for really thin people? Is it the same process of body going into ketosis, or body has other cope strategies because there is not enough fat to burn?
Well, I guarantee you have more fat that you think you know, because we don't just have subcutaneous fat, you have visceral fat, which is fat that lines your internal organs that you can't pinch on your body, right? So you always have more fat than you're aware of. So this is not really a concern. Like, I have very low body fat. I mean, when I am not fasting, I am 5'6" and my weight is about 110 pounds. Okay, so, and I went 11 days without food and water and I was fine. So the body utilizes other resources, but it doesn't just utilize fat, then it goes to muscle. So first it deals with fat, and then if it's not enough, it can actually turn protein. It will cannibalize its own muscle and turn protein into sugar. And it's actually better if you have low fat, because the less food your body has, so to speak, the more it then goes to cannibalize all the cells that are atypical, that are mutated, and so on. That's what you want, you see? And also I think per every pound of fat, you make 3 liters of water, I believe. Because that fat is stored sugar, which is actually, when it breaks down, the body breaks it down into water and sugar. This is how we get our sugar, nutrition that the body needs. So unless you are severely underweight, this is not something you have to worry about. This is something I've seen in myself. Going into the fast, being at 110 pounds, and 11 days later coming out and being fine. So a lot, you know, we have a lot of these fears that are really not based in fact, and we haven't begun to scratch the surface of what the body can do and really how very little it needs to survive and to function. And not just survive, but to function well, really.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, guys, so we will officially start, even though I've been recording for some time now. But we'll officially start. So welcome, Ivanna.
Hi.
Welcome, everyone. And today is a special evening because Ivanna, first of all, is going to tell us more about her amazing experience of this 11-day dry fast she has completed recently. And after that, we had lots of questions in the group. But as I said, the priority for asking questions is for people actually present here. So we're going to have Q&A session with our dear Ivanna. So Ivanna, first of all, I wanted to ask you, have you noticed any difference between this dry fast and the previous one that you did recently, also not long ago?
Yes, there's always differences. Every fast runs differently. It's based on your emotional state, based on your approach, and based on what the body is working on at any given time. What was interesting about this fast is that I did not plan on doing this. What has happened for me over the 3 years that I've been fasting consistently is really the separation and discernment between body consciousness and my consciousness, what I want and what the body wants. And once you really get a gauge and have a true sense of the body's consciousness, its communication, you start to receive messages from your body. You start to communicate with it. So the fast was not my idea, it was my body's idea. All of a sudden I started to receive messages that we got to go into a fast. And every time I would think about doing this fast, and it's been less than 3 months since I did my 9-day fast, and I had no plans on doing this. Okay, and then I started to get these ideas persistently. Got to go into a fast. Let's do a fast. And every time I would think about it, I would literally feel my cells get really excited. It's almost like there was a party, and I was like, okay. So I thought to myself, well, what am I doing? Do I have any commitments? Do I have anything that I have planned? No, it's Mercury retrograde. Nothing is going to be happening. Things are going awry anyway. I said, all right, let's do it. And it's so clear because you start to really get communication from your body. It's almost like you hear a voice in your head and you go, okay, let's do it. So I decided to do on a whim, and I was like, okay, so let me take a few days to prepare, because you can't just jump into a fast, especially a long fast. That means you adjust what you eat, nutrition you take in, you cleanse your intestinal tract very, very well before going into a fast. You hydrate. So I was drinking lots of watermelon juice, trying to get as much hydration on a cellular level as possible. And it was the day of the last webinar that I did, July 3rd, that I started my fast. And as the idea of the fast came to me, I said, all right, so how long are we going to go for? Are we going to do 9 days, 10 days? The answer came back 11. I said, okay, let's do 11. So you start to trust that process. You start to really see that your body has a different agenda, has something of its own goals that may not be something you think about. And when people ask me questions about my attitude about fasting or why I'm doing this, and I realize that my relationship with fasting is very much the same as it is with hiking. You know, I am an avid hiker. I love to hike. I like going into the mountains, scrambling through the brush on my hands and knees, being in the nature. I love it, you know. But when you go and you get on a trail, when you go hiking, you know, and you get on a trail that's maybe like 5 to 9 hours long, about 3/4 of the way, you're so tired, you're sweaty, you're hot, you go, oh man, I just want to get off this trail. I want to take a rest, right? But what are you going to do? You can either go forward or you can either go back. You cannot get off the trail. So you go, you suck it up, you pull yourself up, and you keep going. When you're finished, you finally get off the mountain. You lie down, you go, oh man, this was so good. I can't wait to do it again. Okay, so it's the same for me with fasting. Every time I do a fast, it's not something that I think of as a hardship or something that I'm going to suffer through. No, I actually look forward to it. It's something that I really love and enjoy. It's just that you have to prepare for the same way you prepare for hiking. Like, you have to have enough time. You have to have a free weekend where you can get out of town and have your, you know, make sure that the weather is right and you have the proper boots and attire to go do it, right? It's the same for me with fasting, but I'm always excited about it. I've never gone into fasting as something that, you know, I have to suffer through to get me to a certain goal. This is always a process I enjoy. I like doing it. So it's always a joyful anticipation for me. So when people ask me, like you, Revital, and say, well, do you plan on doing this again? To me, it's like somebody asked me, do you ever plan on going hike again? Well, of course I'm going to go hiking again. Maybe it's not going to be this weekend. Maybe it's going to be, 3 weeks from now, but I will definitely go hiking again because I love it.
But
And my body loves it. It's good for my body.
you still need it after all this time, after all
It's not about a need. It's something that I enjoy. And I see the benefit. You understand? I'm not approaching this at this point from a clinical standpoint where this is like a treatment that I do. It's not like that for me. This is a part of my lifestyle, the same way somebody goes dirt bike riding on the weekends, like an activity that they do that's fun, that may be extreme by some people's measures, but I have a great time doing it and I get great benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. It's
so,
a way of,
yes. Were you going to say something?
no, I just said it's a way of life.
Yes, yes. And every time you go, there's always that desire to see how much further you can stretch your limits.
Are you going to stretch it further than 11
Yes.
days?
Yes, I have been following this man he's a Russian guy. His name is Swami Satmarga. And if you guys understand Russian or somebody can translate for you, I would highly recommend it. This guy has done to this date 50 days of dry fasting. And his partner has filmed him through his journey. So you see his transformation as he goes through this process. So he started with, of course, smaller increments. And I think the first fast he filmed was 16 days, and then he went to 27, then he went to 39, then he went to 50. And you see his transformation. He and his partner fills him, every other day or so for a few minutes. And you see how his body changes, how he's feeling on a day-to-day basis. And he takes his vitals and everything. And he lives outside of the city. He lives out in nature in the middle of nowhere. And this guy is amazing. I mean, while he's dry fasting, he's building a house. I mean, every single day he is out there carrying wood and drywall and banging the hammer and putting things together. So he's completely functional. So this time, just watching him, what it did for me was it removed my fear. Because and I don't know if fear is the right word. It's been more of a concern because I do have low body weight. So my concern is always like, is it okay? Like, am I doing too much? Am I going to lose too much weight? So by watching this guy, that removed the fear from me, where I saw what the body can do, what this guy is doing. And, it's, you watch his videos, it's the dead of winter. We're talking below zero, and he is in his shorts, in his underwear all day long, carrying wood like it's 75 degrees outside and sunny. And when the sun is shining and there's snow everywhere, and he's sunbathing in his shorts, and he said, oh, the weather is so nice. And you go, I mean, this is crazy. So you go, wow, this is amazing. The body is really much more capable than we give it credit for. So watching this guy has sort of assuaged my fears about a lot of things, my concerns about my weight and this being too much of a stress. And another thing that I followed him on was that he goes, you have to really move consistently. Now, when we read about fasting, about healing, we're told that you really need to keep your activity down to a minimum to conserve your energy. This guy goes about it differently. He says, no, you have to continue to move so that your lymph moves, that your blood is circulating. It doesn't mean you have to take on a really heavy physical burden, but you have to constantly move. So this time I was working out every single day. I was doing push-ups, I was doing yoga, I was working out with weights. Because every fast I did, I would, lose so much muscle that I would have to start basically from zero to rebuild my body. I would be weak all over. Right now, my legs are still really weak, but my upper body is fine. I'm doing push-ups, no problem. I have not lost much muscle in my arms or much strength, which is something I'm very happy about. And I was working out multiple times a day because you can't really do a long stretch of exercise. You maybe do 10, 15 minutes because you sort of lose that energy, or maybe you start to get faint. So you'll do, 2 or 3 sets of those just to make sure. And the focus was just onto making sure that the body was moving, not, pumping iron to keep muscle going, just movement. And at some point, probably like 8 days in, I started to work out in my bed. I adjusted. I have a mattress that's really hard because the idea wasn't that I didn't have the strength, but you get faint. And every time, like if you bend down and then you get up, your equilibrium shifts, the fluids and the blood in the head, so you can sort of pass out. So what I did, I just lie in bed and just do my weights like this. And when I get tired, I put them down on the bed and I take a break until I'm ready again. So I adjusted my routine and it went much better. I felt better energy. I felt better physically, I would say. And my sleep was better because of it.
Ivanna, did you have to overcome initial weakness to do that? Kind of push yourself through to start, or you had enough energy right from the beginning to do that?
Well, no, there was nothing to overcome because as you start, you're still coming from your strong place. So you're just keeping working out the way you were, prior to that. Every day I get up, I do yoga. So it's fine. And as you progress, now you're starting maybe 5, 6 days into, you have to start to adjust your routine, right? I do vinyasa yoga. So there's a lot of push-ups. There's also a lot of jumping back and forth. So I had to stop jumping because once again, swift movement can make you pass out. So now instead of jumping, I'm walking to my hands or walking backwards or doing things slower in a sequence, but I'm still doing all the same things. It's just how I am approaching the movement itself is a little different. Softer, slower, more conscientious, more aware of every movement so that I maintain my equilibrium. So as things progressed, I had to adjust. Or, after like probably 8 days, I stopped doing yoga at all because once again, there's too much, you're bending down, you're doing this, then you're getting up, too much up and down, where too much shifting in the head of the blood, where you already weak. So that becomes a little too much where you can lose your balance. That's when I shifted to the bed, where I'm going to do this, where I have more control. But that was really the last 9, 10, 3 days. But the first really 8.5, 9 days, I didn't have a problem. I had to adjust the speed of the exercise and of the flow, but I was doing all the same things. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised that the more I kept going, that it was actually easy. It surprised me. And it gave me more energy, more vitality, and it helped me sleep better because I was expanding a lot of that idle energy.
I'm on my 5th day of hard dry fasting. Excellent. And I have a severe problem. I had a severe problem yesterday. I had a breathing problem. I could not breathe at all. And I thought I will just faint right now. Last time I did soft dry fasting for 11 days. And I had to break my fast only because of this reason. I was not hungry, but I couldn't breathe.
You know what helps you breathe? Breathing can become a problem when you have weak adrenals. People with weak adrenals are going to have issues with equilibrium, are going to have issues with faintness, dizziness, breathing. Having it be summer right now and have the air conditioner on blast, sometimes I would sit this close to the air conditioner with cold air blasting in my face. And that cold air was what was helping with the breathing. You start to breathe better. So cool yourself down. When you can't breathe, you start having breathing problems, get ice packs on you and get into cold air.
Okay.
And this whole dry fast, my electricity bill is probably going to be off the charts because I had to keep the air conditioner blasting full force, because that's what actually helps you get through it. You actually will start to breathe better, and all of a sudden you start to feel better immediately. Because I had to go out to the store a few times. I didn't have to, I just was bored and I didn't know what to do with myself, so I convinced myself that I need to go and do something. And it's really hot out, and you walk out and you immediately feel robbed of your nerve energy. Heat, when you have weak adrenals, is going to rob you of your nerve energy. All of a sudden you're going to feel like you're going to pass out. The minute I walk into the store where they have air conditioner blasting at like 59 degrees, you come to life immediately. You start to feel better right away. So you're in the store for 10, 15 minutes, then I walk outside and I want to die again until I get home and I sit in front of the AC. So this is one of the things that is going to happen, especially if you have weak adrenals. And that's when you have to bring cold air in, get ice packs involved, because that's going to make things go easier for you. And you'll be able to stay in the fasting mode. You won't have to break it. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, I was yesterday in shopping malls for 2 hours, but the problem is because of the mask, I had a lot more problem.
Mm-hmm. So if you just blast your AC on high and you sit in front of it, I tell you, it was the most blissful feeling. Like I would sit like a crazy person this close to the AC, put my face to it, and just get blasted with cold air. It was pure heaven. Like you come back to life. It's amazing.
And what do you do with the hair? Because what do you do with the hair? Because it's become so bad after 5 days. How do you go out of the house?
You just deal with it. You just deal with it. I stay home. I isolate myself. I prepare. If I have to go outside, I wear a baseball hat. And I put my hair up and I wear a baseball hat. But yeah, it gets gnarly. It's not pretty. You look like a greasy, matted mess. That's
true.
what happens. But you have to get the ego out of the way. This is,
Ivanna, I'm wondering when you talk about cold air and hot air, and what I've experiencing is whenever I'm inside and have the AC on, generally speaking, I'm hardly hungry. Like I'm not even thirsty. But as soon as I go out and I know that I have weak adrenals, I get much hungrier. I don't know why, and thirstier. And it's not about sweating, because it's not like I'm spending hours outside, but just going to the sun, I feel like, oh, I would like to eat something. And inside I feel fine for hours. So has it something to do with what you just said?
When you are hot, you have less energy. So the body doesn't need energy, so it doesn't feel hungry. You see what I'm saying? You feel hungry when your body perceives it's lost its energy.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
But when you are so robbed of energy, you're so hot, your body doesn't want to eat. It's just fighting to sort of stay alive at that point, stay upright, vertical. Because I can pass out in the heat. This is how weak my adrenals are. Mm-hmm. They've gotten much, much better. When I used to dry fast, after 3 days, I would have to be lying down a lot, because getting up at any point would just give me almost vertigo. I'd get so dizzy. I had to hold on to things. Now I don't have these problems. I have excellent mobility. Sometimes, when you're really far down the road, like 8-9 days in, you need to adjust a little bit, but I was cleaning my house every single day. I have to vacuum. I have pets. I have to clean up after them. I was doing everything I was doing before, other than maybe going out and socializing, because as we said, you're a hot mess. Nobody wants to see that or be around that. I don't want to be around me. I avoid mirrors, try not to look at myself because it's scary. So, and what also happens when you're really into these long fasts is that you really don't want any noise. I don't even want to watch TV or show. There's nothing that keeps my interest, not a book, nothing. I really want to be with myself. And I actually enjoy that more. I need the quiet. I don't want the noise. I don't want to keep up with the plot of something. I really want to be with myself and just be quiet. And it's really nice. And what I found is also another interesting thing is if you have pets, you're going to see how your pets are really tuned into you and how they mirror your internal state. And I've heard this from other people. You know, when I am really anxious and I'm fasting, my cats go berserk. They're swinging off the chandeliers. They're knocking things down. They're just, I want to kill them. Like they're driving me crazy. But when I am chill, they're super chill. When I fast, they eat less. They go from wanting food 3-4 times a day to me feeding them once, and they don't ask for food. The food sits in the bowl. They don't even eat when I don't eat. This is how they're tuned in. And I have a friend who told me the same thing. She said she had to break her fast after 4 days because her cats were driving her crazy. They were just acting out. They were aggressive. They were breaking things. And I find this the same thing with my pets. If my internal state is off kilter and I feel a lot of anxiety, I feel a lot of discomfort, they're going to manifest that in front of me. And the more I want them to leave me alone, the more they're going to be persistently bothering me. But if I am relaxed and I am just going with the flow, they're super chill. They're asleep all day. They don't bother. They don't even ask for food. I'm shocked. I'm like, all of a sudden, my fat ass Samson, who can eat nonstop, who has never met a food that he didn't like, all of a sudden he can go without food for a whole day and doesn't even bother him. So you will see how our pets are sort of tuned in, and you can actually get a reflection of what is happening inside of you by observing your pets during these times and see if you need to make an adjustment.
But that's not only with pets, it's the same with children too. Because when I am not relaxed, my daughter irritates me all the more. But when I am relaxed, she is also relaxed.
Yes, because they're a part of our energy system, literally. And children too, they're a part of you up until a certain age. They're literally a part, you're like the same organism, even though you have two different bodies. Up until a certain age, children are a part of your energy system. So they're going to externalize what you're feeling or you're going through internally in terms of your mental state, your emotional state. So it's an interesting observation here as well. Now, I did have some detox reactions that were, some of them were similar, some were different from what I experienced before. This time I didn't have any cravings at all or hunger. There was thirst going, further down, like into days 6 and 7, when I was really like dreaming of watermelon juice. But this was probably the first time where I didn't have any specific cravings for like chocolate or this or that. I had no hunger or anything like that. So that was sort of easy. The thirst was there, and I really, really wanted like juice. And watermelon juice was like the holy grail for me. I couldn't wait to get watermelon. This is why I left my house on day 8 to go and buy watermelon. That still sits in my refrigerator until now. I still haven't eaten it, okay, since I broke my fast. But psychologically, it just makes it easier for you because you're so worked up. So that I learned to just give your, consciousness, give yourself that little carrot, whatever makes it calm down. So I bought the watermelon and I still haven't eaten it because at that moment I really needed it. Now that I came out, I was like, okay, whatever, there's a watermelon in my refrigerator. But in that moment, it was so imperative that I go and get a watermelon. So I'm hobbling around, on day 8, I can barely stand. I go into the store in the heat. then I buy this huge watermelon that's this big and I carry it on my shoulder and I'm like, you are insane. There's a problem. Like, and it's all psychological, you see, it's all mind games. So it makes it easier for me to go through it psychologically if I give myself what I think that I need in the moment. And every time I get out of the fast, that thing that I thought that I needed so bad I couldn't survive with, you never want it afterwards. That's the funny thing. You look back and you go, why did I do all that? You know, and I do it all the time, and I continue to do it. Why? Because in the moment it helps me psychologically. It's that, you know, mind trick that you let your mind have what it wants, and so it comes down like a child. And I had a lot of coating on my tongue. It looked like, I swear, it looked like a white shag rug. It was so thick and so gross. But by day 8, it started to clear up on its own. And I watched it started with the tip and then the sides and was working its way inward. So I'm doing a hard dry fast, which means as I'm not I'm not rinsing my mouth, I'm not brushing my teeth. And if I had stayed on the fast longer, I believe my whole tongue would have cleared up. But, you know, after 11 days, I broke it and maybe like I got a quarter of it cleared up. But it started to really work its way in where you see like really nice pink and clean. And then the rest of it is all like this white, fuzzy, shag rug-like consistency on your tongue, which is really gross. So you see how the body is cleaning itself if you give it enough time. The problem is we can't stay in that state long enough, or at least initially. Like this guy, Satmarga, you know, he started with 16 and now he'd worked his way up to 50, which is amazing. And he is going to continue to do this, to push his body. To him, it's an experiment. He goes, I want to see how far this is going to go. He has no fear of death. He has no fear of anything. He goes, this is something that I do.
Can I ask something?
Sure.
The questions that I posted on the
Yes.
WhatsApp, I have a problem of deficit. So going into my menopause and osteoporosis. And
Yes.
so I don't know if you have any advice or
You have to ask yourself why you have osteoporosis. Why are you losing calcium? Because you're too acidic. So the only way you can fix this problem is by clearing out the acids out of your system. It's not through supplementation. Also, your body does not recognize artificial supplements. It doesn't know what to do with them. When we eat food, it's not the calories or the vitamins or minerals that sustain us. You have a physical body, all right? And the physical body is the least important of all your bodies, because you have energy body, you have astral body, right? You have a spirit. You are a spirit that also has a physical manifestation. Now, the same way with every fruit and vegetable, what you see also has a spirit essence, also has that astral body, has that energy body. So when we consume a living food, what nourishes us is not the calories or the minerals. What nourishes us is that energy that now is interacting with our energy. Now, when scientists go and look under microscope, they're trying to figure out what this is, and they look at the physical manifestation of this energy, and they see certain chemical compounds. So what they think to themselves, they go, oh, okay, so if we mimic these compounds artificially, and then we give it to the body, then it's going to be okay. But this is not true. It's like the difference between consuming, let's say, Ensure or some kind of protein drink that is loaded allegedly with all the minerals that are artificial, and you compare how your body reacts to that and how it reacts to a piece of fruit, completely different. Because one is dead energy, has no energy, versus you're consuming intelligence, you're consuming consciousness. That's what sustains you, not minerals. You see? And this is why a calorie is not a calorie. Eating 300 calories in fruit and drinking 300 calories of a superficial protein drink is not going to do the same things for your body. So I never ever tell people to supplement calcium, because it's not the problem. The problem is not that you're not getting enough calcium. The problem is your body has to pull so much calcium out to mitigate acidosis in your body, that it's so acidic that it has to now go into emergency survival mode and start pulling and leaching minerals wherever it can to sort of bring more alkalinity to itself. That is the problem. And the same problem that's causing your loss of calcium is the same problem that's causing your problems in your glands, because the same acidosis that is causing your body to dump massively calcium from its tissues and its bones, the same acids are destroying the glands that are utilizing calcium. So your problem is removing the acidic waste and restoring homeostasis. You cannot rebuild in an acidic medium. Somebody else, I think Connie was asking about, you know, what if you do this diet, can you rebuild? Rebuilding doesn't happen because of a diet. Rebuilding happens when you remove acids. My enamel rebuilds on a 9, 10 day, 11 day fast. I consume nothing. It's not because I'm taking in calcium or vitamin D or something else. No, it's because I am removing that which is destroying my teeth from the inside out.
So what, live on raw food?
Raw food, what is going to do is going to stop acidifying the body even further and is going to start detoxing it, allowing these acids to be removed. But you have to have and to ensure that your kidneys are filtering. I am working currently with a client who was on a 6-month juice fast, but who did not filter. So what he did, he stirred up all of this lymph for 6 months that was frozen. That, you know, if you think about your body, you think about, you know, glass of water, and then you have an ice cube floating in it that is made of raw sewage. And as long as this ice cube stays frozen, if you drink the water, you're going to be aware of the toxic nature of that ice cube. You know, vaguely you'll have the smell, maybe some taste that's going to transfer into the water, but it will mostly be contained, right? But now imagine you're going to melt this ice cube, and all of this sewage now is going to mix with everything else in your body, with your blood, with everything. And so now it's burning you up from inside out and has nowhere to go because your kidneys are blocked. And now this person has cancer. So in a sense, he had given himself cancer in the 6 months of juice fast, because he was not paying attention to his kidney filtration. Because what he did, in essence, he went and he melted his ice cube of sewage that was sort of contained, and now it's eating him up from inside out.
So
and he still has no kidney filtration. So now we have to work on getting his kidneys to open up. So anytime you do these juice fasts, you go water fast, anything except for a dry fast, because it operates on a completely different level. You have to make sure that your pathways of eliminations are open. Because it's not enough for you to now mobilize this stagnant lymph. You have to get it out, because if you don't, you're gonna feel the burn. It's gonna burn you from inside out. And a lot of people have very weak kidneys. I've known people who took over a year to filter. And when you now have a cancer like leukemia, you don't have a year to open up your kidneys, because this is going to kill you much faster than that. So, and this is why I always tell people, you go into a detox, you have to have herbs, because food is not enough. If you have genetically compromised kidneys, if you have too much stagnation where your eliminating channels are closed, like if you have a thyroid problem, your skin is closed. You cannot eliminate toxins through your skin. And if on top of that you have compromised kidneys, everything stays home. And you go on a raw diet, you start to mobilize, you start to melt your ice cube, so to speak, and all of that sewage has nowhere to go, and it's intoxicating everything inside you. And this is why you have to have herbs, because you have to make sure that your eliminated channels are working. It's not enough for you to start to move this toxic stagnant lymph. It has to go out. If it doesn't, it will kill you, will strangle you from inside out.
Ivanna, and if the person really works with their bowels and cleans the bowels and make sure the bowels eliminate, even though they might have compromised kidneys, it won't be enough to eliminate these things?
It may not be enough. This person was on nothing but juice for 6 months. That should clean your bowels, right? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't enough. It did not open up his kidneys. So everybody's different. This is why when I work with people, I look at their eyes. And if you look at this person's eyes, both of his kidneys and adrenals are severely compromised. This is a person, somebody who has a lot of genetic weaknesses everywhere. And this is why everybody's different. That's why some people can get well very quickly, and they may not even have to go on juices. They just go raw. You understand? Some people just cut out meat and dairy and they get better. Why? Because they're starting out from a better position. We're not all created equal.
So are you putting this person now on, this person you were referring to, like going into dry fasting to get the, and herbs?
No.
And
No. We're doing grapes, lemons, and ginger.
Mm.
How could you get a diagnosis? Do you give a diagnosis to?
What do you mean? I don't diagnose anybody. This person was diagnosed by a doctor that they have cancer.
No, I'm saying that the condition I have, if I want to deal with it, I mean, specifically, do you give?
I'm not a doctor, therefore I don't diagnose anything. But based on certain symptomology, we can ascertain certain things. And then we look at your eyes and we look at your glands. What is your thyroid doing? Do you have any weaknesses in your parathyroid or your pituitary gland? Because these are the glands that are responsible for calcium utilization. You see, theoretically, even if you have acidosis, you're losing calcium, your body should be able to replace it. But eventually you become so acidic that you affect the function of the glands that are supposed to remineralize your bones. They can no longer do it. You've broken down so much of your structure that your body cannot do the job it's doing, that's supposed to do.
So
that's why you need the help of herbs, and you need to really go into deep detox.
Ivanna?
Yes.
Hi, it's Rory. I wanted to ask, how do you know your kidneys are filtering? I know you mentioned, okay, iridology. So the best way, I guess, would be to maybe have a private consult with you. I have read that you can...
It's very easy, actually. You pee in a jar. You wake up, your first urine, you pee in a jar, and you see if you have sediment in it. If your urine is clear, you're not filtering. When you look at your blood work, there's an indicator there that you can look at. It's called creatinine. And creatinine is an indicator of how much protein you have in your urine. If your creatinine within the US chart, where it's between 0 and 1, if it's over 0.6, your kidneys are no longer filtering. But the easiest way, without blood work, without anything, you simply look at your urine. If your urine is clear, if you're not getting sediment in your urine, your kidneys have no filtration.
And is
okay, so just to recap, because I want to do this. So the best thing is in the morning to do it, because I mean, obviously, if you drink a lot, you notice your urine is quite clear. I mean,
That's
and
why
then if you
do the first urine in the morning or the second urine after you've had something to drink and flush your kidneys.
Okay,
so
great.
That's why for people who drink a lot, you would see it more in the morning, because you have been fasting during the night, right? You're not drinking, and your body has been cleaning during the night. So whatever lymph was cleaned should have been moved toward the kidneys, and your first urine or your second urine sometimes, because sometimes that first urine doesn't come out until you flush the kidneys having drank something. So it will depend from person to person. So I would watch the first 2 urinations of the day. And you put in a clear jar and you set your urine aside and you see if you have any sediment.
Okay.
How long does it have to be set aside before you can notice it?
look, some people say set it for, if you have sediment, if you're really filtering, you don't need to set anything aside. You're going to see it right away. And in another webinar, I had a picture, I don't know if I can find it now, of the first urine I had after I broke my 9-day fast. There was this much sediment at the bottom of the jar without having it sit or do anything. The reason they let it sit is just that you want whatever is there that mixed in with the fluid should just really settle at the bottom. But when you're really eliminating, you don't need to even see that because you're going to see it right away.
Ivanna,
my advice to you, if you need to set your jar to see if you have sediment, you're not filtering, because you should be seeing sediment. You should be able to hold up the jar to the light and see all kinds of particles floating in it.
Ivanna, is there anything we can do immediately to improve filtering? You mentioned herbs, and then you said your client is on that grape, lemon, and ginger, which sounds pretty delicious right now. Is that also a good juice to take every day for kidney filtering?
Yes. Lemons and grapes open up the kidneys really well. First of all, you have to stop eating any protein. I don't care if it's nuts, if it's lentils. Protein destroys kidneys, period. I don't care if it's plant protein.
Okay, jeez.
So you immediately, the first thing you do is you remove all protein from your diet. You remove all acidic food from your diet.
Okay.
And then you do the lemons. Lemons are very good. Watermelon is good for opening up the kidneys. Grapes, of course. Beet juice is excellent. If you go on a 3-day beet juice fast, you're going to feel in your liver. You're going to feel it in your kidneys.
Okay.
But nothing really quite as good as lemons. And, there's this recipe where you juice 10 lemons. You take a big, nice big hand size hunk of ginger. You juice that and you dilute it to maybe make a total of 2 liters. And then you drink that all day long. Okay. You're going to get some action in your kidneys. And of course, dry fasting. A minimum of 24 to 36 hours of dry fasting is going to help to get the kidneys to start to spasm and release the stuff that's stuck in those little filters. Because your kidneys are like a Brita filter. They filter everything that comes through the body, but the filter itself gets gunked up and dirty when you constantly, washing down all kinds of garbage. And eventually kidneys stop having the ability to filter themselves. So what you want to do is you want to clean out the kidneys first so that they can start to now do their job and remove the cellular waste from your body.
So which means if you're dry fasting, whatever, 24, 36 hours, and then you go to the bathroom and you see, dark urine, obviously you're filtering. And then you don't, and then the next day you are, you drink 2 juices or whatever, and then the urine is not that dark, means obviously your kidneys are weak, correct?
Yes, because when you're seeing that filtration during dry fast, it's just the filtration of the kidneys themselves. The garbage is being removed from the kidneys, not from your other organs, you see? Mm-hmm. And that's why when you get out of the dry fast and you start to get the kidneys process more water, you see that they're not removing as much stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just like I said, tips about anti-aging and menopause
Well, if you're going into your menopause, and I don't know how old you are, most women go into it too early. This is your pituitary function. So this tells you have glandular weakness. And when you have weakness of your glands, like your thyroid, parathyroid that utilize your calcium, you have pituitary weakness, that means you're backed up with acids all the way to the top.
It's not, I'm over 50, so it's
you shouldn't be going into like 55, 60. It's not normal. Women, we consider this normal, but it's actually not. You shouldn't be going into menopause. That's too early. But that speaks to impaired pituitary function. But what impairs all of these glands is acidosis. That means you are acidically backed up all the way into your head. And the only way to reverse this, the only way to reverse aging is to clean out the acids, because that's what ages the cell. That's what destroys the cell. It's its own garbage.
Mhm.
That's why we age, because the cell gets bombarded by toxins, is overstressed continually.
It's just fasting. Fasting.
Fasting is the fastest, but dry fasting. There's different mechanism involved in dry fasting that is far superior than when you do water fasting. Also, people talk about juice fasting. You're not fasting when you're juicing. You're eating. You're just eating liquids. There's a difference. There's no fasting going on when you're on juices. Sorry. There's absolutely zero fasting. You're full on eating. So, you're not going to get as far if you're juice feasting or on liquid diet as if you are on water fasting or if you're on dry fasting.
But you said you could get the same effect maybe after the effect that you would get after a few days of dry fasting.
On water, yes. On water.
Is that juice on juice about 3 months, being on juice about 3 months? So it's
average 3 months. What we're talking about is cleaning out the GI tract. It takes an average of 3 months to break up, the mucoid plaque, to clean out the GI tract. But most people take longer than that. I still have, on this dry fast, the one thing that I could really clearly feel in my ascending colon, the ropey mucoid plaque. It was like stretched out tightrope with knots in it. And as I tried to break it up, to massage, it was extremely painful. Because when you lose so much weight, it's almost like there's no fat. You can really feel your insides. You can feel your GI tract. You can feel if there's something in there when you're on a dry fast after a certain period of time. It's like putting something under a sheet and then being able to just palpating to see what's underneath there. You can feel the shape of it. And I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this for 3 years. I've been fasting for how long? I've done how many juice fasts? I've done how many colonics? And here it is. And I can feel it with my fingers. I can feel it. I can feel the shape of it, and it's still there. It's stuck. So it can take a very long time to actually be able to break that up. People underestimate how long it takes. We think that if we are suffering, that our level of suffering should equate to the level of cleansing we're getting. Like if it hurts us to go without food for so long, that means we have to get this much done. But this is not a fact. This is a fantasy. This is magical thinking.
I wanted to ask a question.
Yes.
I have been purposely put into menopause. I had breast cancer in 2015, and then I was given tamoxifen and injections in the stomach so that my
estrogen?
No, that down here in the uterus, what do you have? These hormones? I know only the German name. I forgot the...
I mean, you have estrogen, you have progesterone, you have testosterone.
Correct, estrogen. I have estrogen, hormone-related cancer. I had. It came back again. I still have 2-3 lumps in my breast and my neck region here, which they don't go. And I had this operation also in my underarms because my lymph nodes were also affected.
Did they take your lymph nodes out?
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah, they didn't remove much. They removed only 3. But after that, I have this water stagnation all the time. And with weather change, I have a lot of breathing problems. My breathing problems have come only after my operation and radiotherapy. And in my radiotherapy, they also burnt my lungs, and I have lung fibrosis after that.
Oy, oy, oy.
And I'm just trying to come out of it, but it's been 5 years. Still, I see very little change.
So first of all, imperative for you to get your kidneys to filter. Kidneys and skin to sweat. When you have cancer, here's the thing. See, their thinking is so skewed. What is estrogen? Estrogen is slightly acidic. So the reason they relate estrogen to cancer, it's not that estrogen causes cancer, but when you're already so acidic, now adding even a minor acid that is natural that occurs in the body acidifies the body even more, you see? So they're sort of on the right track where they're seeing that this is because of acidosis, but they're going about it in a perverse way. So they're trying to take away your estrogen to not irritate the condition further. But what you have to do is you have to clean. And when you have cancer, it's grapes, lemons, and ginger.
Okay. I've been taking watermelon because that's the only thing which I don't find it, not acidic, or I don't have that thirst. Otherwise, with all other foods, I found that all other fruit juices, I had much more thirst and I was much more acidic after having them.
But here's the thing. Well, the reason you feel that way, it's not the juices are giving you thirst or making you acidic. They're revealing the level of dehydration because you're so acidic. What are acids? They're dehydrating. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what these juices are showing you how dehydrated you are from the inside out.
Okay.
They're not causing this. They're revealing the true condition of what is happening inside. Now, the protocol of grapes, you can either eat the grapes or you can blend them with lemon and ginger juice. Because this lemon ginger is really like difficult to get down. So you may need, but for real astringency, it's grapes. You should be on nothing but grapes. Grapes, lemons, and ginger juice.
Okay, thank you.
And watch your kidney filtration. If you're not filtering, you have to be on herbs. You gotta be on kidney herbs. If you cannot get filtration on kidney herbs, you gotta get on a kidney glandular. You have to take care of your adrenals because your adrenal glands are weak. I know because you have problem breathing. You told me this. Yeah. This is adrenal weakness. Your adrenal glands also control your kidneys. They turn on your kidneys. So if you are only doing kidney herbs, but you're not taking care of adrenals, you're not doing enough work to help your kidneys to filter. Until you turn on your kidneys to filter, you cannot get rid of your tumors.
Okay. And how do I stimulate my adrenals?
You can take adrenal herbs or adrenal glandulars, or you can do both. Okay. So adrenal glandulars are an animal product. They're actual adrenal glands taken from a healthy animal that adrenal glands that are raw and freeze-dried that you take in. So the energy on an energetic level, it's like having a jumper cable when your car won't start and then you bring another car and you use that charge to start your car. That's what adrenal glandulars do, or any glandulars for any gland, be it thyroid, parathyroid, whatever it is. So what it does, it helps to jumpstart your own gland. So when your adrenals are really weak, I would start with adrenal glandulars and stay with them for a while and then introduce adrenal herbs. Because once you turn on the adrenal glands, they start now working. Now you got to support them with herbs so they continue to work. And, kidneys, adrenal, skin, you have to sweat as much as possible. But they removed your lymph nodes. Those are your septic tanks. This is how the body actually removes its waste. It's, imagine if you have a toilet in your house and you have a septic tank outside, and what they did, they remove the septic tank and you still continue to use the toilet. What do you think happens to the crap now that it has nowhere to go? There's no septic tank. This is what they did to your body when they took out those lymph nodes. So they actually took out the ability for your body to remove some of that waste. Also, what lives in your septic tank or your lymph nodes as your macrophages, which is your cannibal cells that are actually supposed to eat up, cannibalize the mutated cells, cancer cells. So now you don't have that either. So it's going to be harder for you to overcome now that you don't have your lymph nodes. The only way for you to you have to really pound your kidneys hard. You have to get sweating and you have to have kidney filtration.
I've been trying since last 4 years with personal trainer to train myself because my right hand works, but my left hand doesn't work very well. But still, I have lot of muscle soreness. Normally, people recover in 2 to 3 days, but it takes me 5 days to recover.
You know why? Because your lymph system is not moving. Because when you work out, you create lactic acid. This is why you feel the soreness. But when you have a lymphatic system that moves, that acid gets removed and excreted very quickly. So the soreness goes away. When you have a problem like you have, I would not work out. If your kidneys are not filtering, why are you're creating more acid in your body that you're so acidic you cannot eliminate that you have cancer, you have tumors. So you work out, you create more acid that you cannot remove. So you create a bigger acidic hit in your system. I would not be working out until you get your kidneys to filter, because you are actually making your acidosis worse. This is how your tumors get bigger.
Okay.
I would not be working out until your kidneys are filtering.
And
this is why
how
you
do I
feel
come
so
to,
tight.
how long will it take?
Everybody's different. It took me months. First 3 months on all raw fruit, I didn't filter at all. Then I started doing dry fasting, and that took also some time before I started to really filter. So let's say 4 or 5 months. Some people can filter right away. They go on raw for a few weeks and all of a sudden they have filtration. I had really bad kidneys all my life, genetically. I know people that took 2 years to open up their kidneys. And you may not have the luxury of that time. That's why you have to go super hard. And if your kidneys are not filtering, you have to compensate with the skin. You have to sweat as much as possible. Do not do infrared. Only regular dry or steam sauna. Infrared will make your cancer worse because it is radiation. It's gonna, whatever acidosis you have on the inside is gonna fry you from the inside and make your cancer worse. Stay away from infrared at all costs. Open up your skin. To open up your skin, your thyroid has to be working. So you should be taking kelp. You should be taking things that support your thyroid gland. You should be looking for a cold and flu symptom. If you go on a protocol of lemons, like this person I'm working with, the next day his fever shot up and he's concerned. I'm like, thank God, because when your fever goes up, what happens? You start to sweat, right? So fevers are good. You get a cold and flu, excellent. You're detoxing. Don't be afraid of fevers. Don't be afraid of getting sick. Now, what I am worried about is your lungs. Because when you're so acidic that you now have problems with your lungs, I would be careful with my fluid intake, because when you're so acidic, the body's going to start to hold on to water. And you don't want your lungs to fill up with water.
Yeah.
Because you get fluid in your lungs, you're dead. So actually for you, you have to be careful with how much fluid you're taking in. So less juice, more eating fruit. You understand?
Yeah.
Even with watermelon, it's a bit too watery and you can start to get edemic where you get swelling.
Yeah, I gained weight 2 to 3 kgs in half a day.
It's because your kidneys don't work, honey. So okay. This is why. And when you have this type of situation, you have lung problems, limit your fluid intake, because you don't want to now to have fluid in your lungs, because that's you're close to death. Once you start to have fluid in your lungs, that's a really bad problem.
Yeah, that's the problem when I do salt water flush also. I gain.
Please do not. Oh Lord, stay away from salt. Salt is death. Stay away from salt. You're overstimulating your adrenal. And what does salt do? It dehydrates you. Stay away. Salt is the worst thing you can do. If you text me, I will send you a couple of things, a couple of files where you can work on your kidneys with castor oil packs. There is a protocol that you can do daily to help you open up your kidneys. Or I can just post this. It's a small picture that you know has it outlined. I can post it in the group so that everybody can have it. How to open up your try to get the kidneys working using castor oil packs and turmeric and cayenne pepper and so on. And there's also a method called the cold sheet treatment, which helps you to expel toxins through the skin. Now, this is very effective, but it's difficult for people who have weak adrenals because it requires you to withstand really high heat for a certain period of time. And people with weak adrenals cannot stand heat for a long time. It robs you of your nerve energy, like you can faint. Breathing gets difficult. But if you have some help, somebody can help you with this, then you can do this, where you freeze a sheet, a wet sheet, and then you go in the water with some oils and stuff like that, really hot water, and you sit in it for a while, as hot as you can stand it. And then you get out, you get wrapped in that cold sheet, and you go to sleep. And if you use a white sheet, the next day you woke up, you will see black on your sheet because stuff that's going to get pulled through the skin. It's one of the ways you can open up the skin, but it's a bit of an involved process. It's a bit, you know, takes a bit of doing. You might need some help with this. It's a bit messy, but it's effective. And when you're dealing with cancer, you know, you got to throw everything at it. You don't have the luxury of going slow. So if I were you, I would be eating nothing but grapes. Every day I would juice 6 to 10 lemons with a big hunk of ginger, dilute that with water. Now it's really, really gross, really gross. So what you can do is either mix this juice in with the grapes, where you blend the grapes, not juice them, blend them in the blender, and you mix it so you get everything in together. Or if you want to drink the liquid, this lemon juice and ginger combo separately, maybe add a little bit of honey, because it's really, I mean, it's yuck, but it works.
Okay.
Ivanna, so this combination of ginger and lemon is used for opening up kidney filtration? That's what it's used for?
Kidney filtration, it's, you know, this is a very like hardcore cancer protocol. Like this is, if you can actually get stuff down, this is an unbelievable cleanser of everything.
So it might be suitable pretty much for everyone who just wants to cleanse and who is able to get it down.
Yes, it's really hardcore. And you gotta be prepared. This is gonna stir things up. Like people go on it and then they freak out because they get sick, you understand? But being sick is the detail. I'm like, this is what we want. This is exactly what we're trying to get. And they're freaking out. Oh, I have a fever. Excellent. I said, this is excellent news. And it only took you a day to get 101 fever. I said, this is very, very good news. And everybody's freaking out. You got to go to the emergency. No, you got to, these symptoms are going to feel like an illness. You're not going to feel great when you're detoxing.
Yes. So how often would you recommend this procedure for someone who is?
This is a daily thing. You go and you do this for a month or two until you get the cancer out of you, until you no longer have tumors.
Yes, but no, but I mean a person without cancer, just for general cleansing.
I don't know. Go on it for a week, see what happens, and see if you want to go more. And watch your urine. Watch every day. Watch your filtration. Watch what happens as a result of this protocol.
Okay, thank you.
So be just on ginger, lemon, and grapes for as long as you can, and that's the best way to clean the.
But ginger and lemon, you got to juice them. You got to extract the juice.
And can you also juice grapes, or grapes should be whole?
You can, but you get more out of it if you eat them whole. Also, like I said, with some people, like Hital here, you want, if you are really acidic and you have lung problems, you want to limit the liquids. You understand? So for her, it would be better to eat grapes than to juice them.
Yeah, but
because you don't want the water and the swelling to build up in the lungs.
Yes. And for general cleanse, is it possible also to use a pasteurized grape juice, or it's better to like they do in the master fast? Or
people use this on master fast and they say it's all, I'm sorry, bullshit. Cooked juice is acidic. The only thing that gives that juice any power is the lemons. That's it. It's always better, of course, it's always superior to use living juice. Yes, it's more convenient, and the only thing that gives it any power or astringency to this juice is the lemon. That's it. You can do an experiment. Do 1 week with pasteurized lemon juice and pasteurized grape juice, and then do a week on fresh pressed grape juice and see what difference you experience.
Okay.
I guarantee you're going to feel the difference.
Okay.
Ivana,
okay.
Arik,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't.
No, I just we had some more questions in the group, maybe from people who hasn't asked yet, but I just want people to know that if someone still has questions and hasn't asked yet, then they will get the priority. But please go on and ask whatever you want.
I think it's also in regards of dry fasting. That's why I'm bringing it up. I've experienced in the past, I've done more dry fast, like 3 days or so, and I've always experienced this kind of pain in the middle of my chest under the rib cage. And initially, when I thought it's the liver, which was completely misdiagnosis. Now I know it's the transverse colon, and it has never gone away. So it goes away either if I break it, right? Or now I'm experiencing if I do an enema, because I do every morning the enema. And then how is this related? I can't.
Well, what is happening is that when you are dry fasting and your digestive tract is empty enough, your body's going to try to break loose that mucoid plaque. Every dry fast that I have done, I have had some mucoid plaque release afterwards. The first time I had some stuff that's been released from my diverticulums, and that was day 4 of a 5-day dry fast, and it felt like something broke loose and then slithered inside of me like a snake. Like I thought I had like a parasite that was going to come out. And I was really freaked out by it. But all it was is just all of that matter, that waste matter that's been stuck on has been finally sort of like broken off, loosened up, and now was ready to be removed. Because when I broke my fast and went to the bathroom, it was almost like a gallon of stuff that came out. So when you are not eating and drinking and you have left your digestive tract unencumbered because you've been juicing, you've cleaned your digestive tract out with enemas, and you don't have anything hanging loose around there, the body's going to start to try to pry that mucoid plaque loose. And what happens, it's almost like, when you have a wound, you have a cut, and then you put gauze on it and it dries up, and then you try to like tear it off, and it's really painful because now it's all that dry blood and it's all embedded in your tissues. So it's the same with mucoid plaque. It's actually very painful when it starts to separate, because it's like that gauze that's been sort of dried up with the blood and really like attached to your tissues.
Yeah, it's much sharper and it feels really hard.
Yes. So when you are dry fasting, your body's in the process now of loosening that up and trying to get that off. And when you break the fast, you stop that process basically. That's why the pain stops. Because as soon as you break the fast, that healing stops. It's over.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Can I ask?
Sure.
So if I try to conceive, can I take glandulars?
Hi, Ali. So
Hi.
my advice to you is to not get pregnant until you clean up your body.
Yes, of course,
we've talked about this before, and you already have problems with your teeth, right?
Yes.
If you get pregnant, that baby is gonna suck all the calcium out of you. You're gonna come out of your pregnancy with no teeth.
Yeah.
So this is not about, because you're thinking in terms of glandulars, you're thinking in terms of treatment, that you're going to be treating a symptom by trying to stimulate your gland, when the problem is acidosis that's breaking down the gland and that's leaching calcium out of your body. And you're never going to get anywhere when you're relying on glandulars. So glandulars are there just for a short period of time. And I wanted to address something with you because you posted a question about getting off thyroid medication.
Yes.
And how to do them. This is important because glandulars in of themselves do not contain hormones. The medication you are taking, what you're taking is hormones, artificial hormones. When you do that, when you start to take hormones that are produced by your thyroid gland stops producing them completely. So what you have to do is you have to wake up your thyroid gland. So what you have to do here is to titrate off your medication. So whatever the amount is that you take daily, you start by cutting it and you add a thyroid glandular. And then you progressively cut your medication more and more as you stay on the thyroid glandular until you completely stop taking it. Because you don't want to stop taking your hormones. If you do that, your whole system is going to crash. And it's going to take some time for the glandulars to, rev up your thyroid naturally so it can start to now make its own hormones. So what is the amount of your medication that you take?
So I take 50 T4.
All right. So if this was me and, if I were you, I would really try to get your doctor on board with this to help you.
But doctors don't believe in glandulars. This is the problem.
Well, then you're going to have to do this on your own. I mean, I would. I am not somebody who's going to tell anybody to get off their medication. First and foremost, I want everybody to understand this. I am not a doctor. I don't treat any diseases. I don't do any of that. I can only tell you what I would do if I were in your situation. Now, if I were you, I cut my dose of the medication in half. So instead of 50, I'm taking 25 now. And I'm taking 150 milligrams of a thyroid glandular. And I do that for a week.
Okay.
Now, on week 2, I take 25 milligrams of my medication now every other day. But on the day that I don't take my medication, now I increase my thyroid glandular to 2 pills. So I'm taking 300 milligrams, you see?
Yes.
Now on week 3, I am now cutting my dose even more. Now maybe I take my thyroid medication every 2-3 days. And now every day I'm taking, 2 doses of thyroid glandular.
Yes, but
You see, this is how you go.
How many milligrams of glandular eventually am I going to take instead of 50 T4?
The idea is for you to eventually not be on glandulars at all, for your thyroid to work without any help.
Yes, okay. But
you understand this idea? Glandulars are not the thing. Glandulars are there to artificially keep your gland going until you clean it enough to restore its function. Glandulars is not something that you should be living on, because eventually you're going to reach a point of saturation where the glandular is going to stop working, or is going to have a completely opposite effect of what you want it to do. So glandulars are a temporary thing, just to literally, it's like starting the engine on your car that's been dead.
Yes.
So glandulars are not your savior. Glandulars are here to hold you over while you're cleaning your body. You cannot be on glandulars forever, because they're going to stop working and they're going to actually give you the opposite effect of what you want. So your focus is always on detoxing and cleaning, on draining your head, cleaning your thyroid gland from the acids that are making it defunct, basically.
Yes.
So you're going to start with, there are different, different dosages, 100 to 150 milligrams of glandulars. And you're not equating milligrams of glandulars to your medication because they're apples and oranges. Glandulars don't have hormones in them.
They don't, because in the
They
past,
absolutely do not have hormones. What is a glandular? Glandular is, what it literally is a piece of a thyroid gland taken from a cow.
yes, but I know that cells have hormones in them before they excrete them into the
These
blood.
are tiny trace amounts.
Mhm.
This is not anything that's going to give you a hormonal boost. You're not taking glandulars for hormones. You're taking them to get your own thyroid started to produce hormones.
Yes, so I have experience from this. In the past, I had taken thyroid glandular,
Yes.
and I had stopped medication, but I had a problem with finding the dosage that I needed. So I remember 200 milligram of thyroid glandular, and my TSH was too low. That means that the dosage was too high for me. So I lowered it every month, and I made the blood test, and I hadn't found it. And then I left it and I went back, because I went back to thyroid medicament, 50/54, because I wanted to get started with conceiving, and I stopped it at that time. And now I think that I'm going to start again.
Well, the problem, the way I see it, is that you're looking at glandulars as a replacement for your medication, and this is not how it works.
Yes.
The glandular does not have hormones. When you take your medication, you're taking hormones that your thyroid is not producing. Glandular is there to give that electric energy to your thyroid to stimulate it to produce its own hormones.
So that time that I took thyroid glandular, it was from my thyroid that TSH was too low, that T4 was produced.
But here's the thing. You're working on your thyroid, but what if your pituitary is the problem?
Yes, I know. I have a pituitary.
So, right. So you are hitting your thyroid, which is not what your thyroid actually needs. What you need is you need to stimulate your pituitary to stimulate your thyroid. Because if you're hitting your thyroid and it's not the problem, you're overstimulating the thyroid.
Yeah.
And this is the problem when you approach things from the treatment point of view. Your focus should be on cleansing. And
Yes.
the only way to know what you need is to look at your glands. You look at a person's eye and you see what glands they have, what the problem is. And sometimes it takes some doing, going back and forth to really figure out the right dose. And sometimes the thing is that the glandulars are really too strong and you need to switch to herbs, because now they're overstimulating.
Yes.
Okay,
So
now,
it's about knowing what you're doing, but the focus is always on cleansing. You're not gonna get anywhere if you're thinking of glandulars replacing your medication. You'll constantly be trying. It's like trying to plug a hole, a leak here and there, and a new one springs.
So I would like to take these glandulars, of course, until I clean my body. That is clear. One last question. I am going to take bone marrow glandular for my teeth. How many milligrams should I take approximately?
Which brand? Are you taking the ancestral supplements?
No, Cottage, I think, Code Age, something like that. I found on Amazon, Co UK.
Oh, I think I've seen it. Let me see something, because I found some brands that I pulled because I was looking for a person that I'm dealing with that has leukemia for bone marrow glandulars. Let me see which ones I pulled. And these ones don't have any additives in them, and they're fairly inexpensive. So, all right, so this one is by Enviromedica, and this is freeze-dried bone marrow complex with cartilage and whole bone from grass-fed New Zealand bovine. Let me see how many milligrams is this. Oh, wow. So this one is 2,400 milligrams for 4 capsules. So this is the serving. I mean, you look at the bottle, but this contains bone matrix, it contains bone marrow and cartilage. So this is like a glandular to create regeneration of bone and enamel. This is like growth factors. But once again, this should be a short-term thing.
Yes.
You should not be relying on glandulars.
But
Because you're still consuming, this is animal products. So this should be a short-term thing to get production going quickly, and then you support it with herbs.
okay.
So for this brand, you would take 4 capsules, and then you look at their, you know, they give you the guidelines on the bottle, how much to take. But another thing you have to consider is when you are deciding dosages, because this is another thing I believe you're dealing with, is malabsorption
Yes.
and utilization. So it doesn't matter what you take if you cannot digest it, if you cannot absorb it or utilize it. Because you also brought up iron supplementation. I would never, ever, ever in a million years tell anybody to take any iron supplements. If you are low in iron, that means your liver has a problem, and it means your adrenal glands have a problem. And this is what you have to fix in order to get your iron levels up. It's not about taking in more iron, because you're going to be taking in more iron that you cannot utilize. It's going to be deposited in your liver, which will eventually give you cirrhosis. It's going to get deposited in your brain, which is going to give you all kinds of neurological problems. It's going to get deposited in your bone matrix, which is going to give you osteoporosis, going to give you bone loss. You already have bone loss. So I would strongly, strongly, strongly advise you to not supplement any iron. Get away from the idea of supplementing. It's not about what you get in. It's about removing obstructions.
Yes.
Nothing builds up my enamel better than going on an extended dry fast. When I consume nothing, not even water. And what does this tell you? It's not about what we take in. It's about whether or not we create a healthy enough environment for the body to be able to rebuild itself. You cannot rebuild when you are acidic, no matter what you take. It's a losing battle. You're going to be swimming against the current here. You're going to be struggling, and you're never going to get there.
Yes.
You need to fix your elimination in order to fix your digestion, absorption, and utilization. Because it doesn't matter what you take if you cannot digest it and absorb it. It's like you may as well start flushing your money down the toilet right now, because the same way it goes in, it's going to come out, and your body's going to do absolutely nothing with it. And therefore, it's going to have zero impact. So you're going to be spending a lot of money and getting nowhere.
So I don't have a low iron. I have low ferritin.
Right. Well, that is iron.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys,
It's the same. It's just you have free iron versus stored iron. Ferritin is just stored iron.
Yeah.
But it's still iron. But what it tells you is that you are not utilizing iron from the food that you're taking in.
Okay.
And it's either because there's a break in that cycle, either it's with digestion, utilization, absorption, or all three.
Okay, guys, we have another person waiting patiently
Yes.
to ask. Rory, please.
Ivan, I wanted to ask you about dry fasting related issues that I have. As a diabetic, I was very surprised. I think it was on the 3rd day of a dry fast about a month ago, but I was about 60 days into a juice fast. I did a dry fasting in it, and then I noticed I had a low blood sugar. I just randomly tested my blood sugar,
Yes.
and it was sitting at 2.6 millimoles.
Yes.
I don't know if that means anything to you in your metrics for the US. I don't know what that is in the other conversion, but anyway, it's pretty damn low. I got such a fright. Honestly, it put me off dry fasting. I became quite nervous. I'm quite nervous of anything now past 24 hours because, 2.6, you can pass out and,
Yes, but everybody gets low blood. I don't have diabetes, and yet I get low blood sugar while I'm fasting. It's normal.
Yeah.
You understand? And I can pass out too, and I don't have diabetes if I'm not careful, because it's normal for your blood sugar for anybody's blood sugar to come down when you're not eating, especially if you have low adrenals. And you do have low adrenals because nobody has diabetes without having compromised adrenal glands.
Yes.
And what fasting does, it actually sensitizes your body to insulin.
Oh, that it did so better. Much, eh? Yeah.
Yes, nothing is better for diabetes than fasting, because that's what it depletes glycogen and it sensitizes your body to insulin. So what I would do is that I would just pay attention, and maybe you go shorter periods, but actually fasting is excellent for diabetes.
You're so right. That dry fasting, it made my insulin resistance, or insulin sensitivity amazing.
Yeah.
That's what the other question. So I've got one little question after this, but just to finish off with this last one, so at 2.6, I mean, it wasn't, I mean, actually I felt normal. That was the crazy thing.
Yes.
So could you say that it would have been safe to continue even at 2.6 blood sugar?
Yes, because just as any normal person who doesn't have diabetes, I don't have diabetes. My blood sugar becomes low. It's normal. When you're not consuming anything, your blood sugar is going to be below normal levels.
All right, I got you.
Now, what I would do is that if you're at that level, first of all, when this happens, you start to really conserve your energy more. When this happens due to low adrenals. Get more cold air, get more ice on you, and just monitor your sugar. If it drops below that, then break your fast.
Right. Okay.
So when it gets to that level, just become more vigilant about monitoring it.
And then another thing that got affected by my juice fast and the dry fasting is the sleep. Oh my word! Fortunately, I've actually done some refeeding now after the dry fast, and my sleep has kind of returned back to normal. Thank goodness. But it was a real concern at one point during the juice fast and the dry fasting. I did some other dry fast within the.
What happens in the juice fast with your sleep?
It was actually fine everything improved actually on the juice fast for the first 2 months. Everything. I felt amazing. The first month was just like I was on top of the world. Everything started going downhill from about the second month. And including sleep. There was a point with sleep, it just, I actually was complaining to Arik a lot. That's why he said I want to ask this question. The sleep just, sleep one night good, next night bad. One night good, next night bad.
When you say good, bad, is it that you are sleeping less, or the quality of your sleep is worse?
Right. So if I was lucky enough to get to sleep, I would definitely, and this still happens, I'd wake up in the morning at 1 o'clock. I mean, I still regularly wake up in the morning, 1 o'clock. But actually it got so bad that I couldn't get to sleep. It actually got so bad, I actually eventually just went to a doctor and asked him to give me stronger drugs, because usually when this happens,
I would not do that. I would definitely not do that. But here's what's happening. Yes, sleep gets affected, but there's a reason why this happens. Also, I want to address something you said where for a month you felt great and then things started to get worse. Why does this happen? It's actually a good sign, because now you're actually getting to a level of cleaning. You understand? Now you're starting to get into some stuff. The first time when we go on raw, we feel great. You know why? Because we remove inflammation. We stop bombarding our body with garbage, and it's like it takes a big deep breath and goes, oh my God, thank you. And you feel good. But then as you continue with the juicing or the raw diet, the body goes, oh wait, we can get some stuff done here, and it starts to clean. But when it starts to clean, you start to feel a little crappy, because you start to now unearth and dig up all the garbage, right?
Right.
So it's actually a sign that now you're getting to a level where your body is now actually starting to do some work and cleaning. And cleaning never feels good.
Ivanna, there was one symptom that I think maybe you'll be able to answer. I think you actually brought it up in one of your webinars, and I Googled it thereafter. You know, I believe I do have liver problems, and I think this might be related. When I have sleep issues, I have a very strong sensation in the in mid eyebrows, the point between your eyebrows, you know,
Okay.
and I think that might be liver related, and it seems to be much more pronounced when I'm having sleep issues, say maybe even mild anxiety issues or whatever in the past. I don't really experience that now, but definitely when it comes to sleep issues, and generally actually all the time. What would you say that is, and given that it's much more pronounced when I have sleep issues?
I would not say that this is liver related. This is more pineal gland related. And you will see this stuff when you start to drain your head. So what happens on an extended dry fast, you do lose sleep. I can tell you this. But
Sure.
what I did, I had to make an adjustment, a mental adjustment, that you have to accept that this is a part of the process.
Right.
This is something that was suggested by Swami Satmarga, where he goes, just accept that this is going to happen.
Right.
Because all of our stress around sleep is self-created because we expect to have a certain amount of sleep.
Yes.
And when we don't get it, we go, well, this is wrong, this is bad. It's not necessarily bad. That one of the reasons that you sleep less is that you don't need to sleep as much because your body is not using as much energy, has more energy now, that it's not digesting stuff.
Yes.
Because what happens to me toward the end of the, you know, that top window, and other dry fasters say the same, people who have gone past 7 days, sometimes you sleep only 20 minutes a day.
Sheepers.
You understand? But what I found is that a lot of the sleep problems is caused by inflammation in the head. Because if I have ice packs on my head and under my skull, I drift off to sleep. And because your brain is so hot, is that you can't sleep.
Mm.
And what I find when I get to like day 8 and 9, the only way I can sleep is if I am literally I am covered in ice and I have the AC going. And as soon as the coolness goes away, I wake up. But what also happens, you're going to sleep this way, and I sleep maybe like an hour, but it feels longer. So you're actually getting deeper quality of sleep in a shorter period of time. Because I wake up and I always check the clock, how long I've slept. And it feels to me sometimes that I've slept like 3 hours, and I will wake up and it's only 45 minutes. You see?
Incredible.
So what happens is then that your sleep goes in a different type of cycle. You're still going to get about 3 hours in a day, but it's going to be broken up. It's not going to be 3 hour block. It's just that your body's going to utilize energy differently. You're going to sleep maybe an hour here and 2 hours there, but you're going to feel more refreshed. It's going to feel like you slept longer.
Okay.
And when you have these problems, try to cool your head down.
Okay.
What works for me like magic, as soon as I start the temperature in my head to come down, the ice, it feels like the most euphoric thing, because when you're in this heat is so consuming and it's so uncomfortable. And remember, your brain is your central nervous system. So when your brain is inflamed like that, you're going to feel all kinds of discomfort, not just physical, but emotional as well. And as you cool the brain down, you start to feel so much better. Emotionally as well. All of a sudden, you're not antsy anymore. You feel just calm, and it's just like, I can take a deep breath now. I can exhale. I feel so much better. So try that. And that's why now I have ice packs. My freezer is stuffed, especially for these occasions, because nothing feels as amazing and as soothing as that cold slab. I mean, I've gotten adjusted to sleeping on hard slab of ice. I mean, if you can do that, then you can do anything.
Ivanna, maybe you could just finish off by telling us, with my questions, is just by telling us, like, obviously there's a lot to this. I thought it was going to be much more simple. Just, engage on a long juice fast. It was going to solve all my problems, and bam. It so isn't that. And having, as I learn more about your journey and others' journeys, I'm starting to realize it can be much more complex. and obviously there's a lot, as you said, individually, and I'm quite keen to get an iridology by somebody like yourselves. Maybe you could just tell us briefly, like how we could get in contact with you about getting a consult with you.
With every video, I believe Arik posts my website information.
Yes.
Also in the group, so you can, if you want to make an appointment and book a session, you can always contact me there or through my website.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Ivan.
Just last question.
Yes.
I wanted to ask is I'm right now doing hard dry fasting, but my urine is very clear on the 5th day too.
That's not good. See, that's
So
not
should
good.
I discontinue the fast and start with kidney cleansing?
Yes, if you can stay on the fast, stay on the fast.
Okay.
Okay. The thing to watch with the fasting is really your pulse. It should not go over 120. Then that's when you know when you got to break the fast. But if you are on day 5, what is day 5, 6, and your urine is clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's not great. This just shows you how much work you have to do with your kidneys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
guys.
Herbs. Get kidney herbs and even a kidney glandular. I would do for you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, guys. So we're close to 2 hours. So I think we will be finishing soon. Does anyone have any last question? Burning question?
Can I ask something? Yeah, well, maybe I'm asking the same things again, but I still don't have, I didn't realize this. I don't know what to do, and maybe a personal session or consultation, so leave the details.
Is this about bone health?
Bone health and...
First thing, you change your diet. If you can go on an all grape diet for 40 days, 60 days, do that.
Grapes? Just grapes?
Dark grapes, dark organic grapes. The darker, the better. If you can add lemons and ginger to that, even better. Make sure you have kidney herbs, adrenal herbs, because you go on this diet, your adrenals are going to crash. Monitor your kidney filtration. Gotta take your kidney herbs, adrenal herbs. You can utilize some lymphatic formulas, but be careful with that until you get filtration from your kidneys, because you don't want to pull too much lymph without it not having anywhere to go. So I would be taking a parathyroid glandular with your situation. I would be taking kelp, or invest in an endocrine formula. You can do endocrine balance by Cellular Botanicals. I would do a pituitary herbal formula for you. And you can switch that off and on, where you can change it for female reproductive by Cellular Botanicals. And you can do 1 month female reproductive and then do another month pituitary. Because this is going to help with your menopause symptoms and all of that. And then I would take a bone and connective tissue formula. And you can also do this Cellular Botanicals, because you're going to be stimulating your parathyroid, but then you have to give it the calcium herbs to actually now make bone matrix out of it. And that's all you can do. You clean and you support your glands. You support your adrenals, parathyroid, pituitary, your thyroid, and you give yourself calcium-rich herbs. Okay?
Okay, guys. So we're going to be finishing soon. So below this video, you will find contact information of Ivanna. Please feel free to schedule your private sessions. And for the new people who are not familiar with this fasting group, the idea is that we fast as a group and we remain connected on WhatsApp. People from all over the world. We do it in a synchronistic way, once a week for 24 hours. So, and these webinars are organized within this framework of this fasting group. And the idea is that we meet Ivanna every few weeks, let's say, for Q&A sessions, for different interesting subjects. So, and Ivanna, thank you very, very much for this life-changing information. It was incredible. As usual, it will be posted on our fasting group, and I also want to post it on my page on Facebook, so just for many people to get exposed to this life-saving information. So really, from the depth of my heart, thank you so, so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ivanna.
Thank you, Ivanna.
Thank you. Bye-bye, guys. Have a nice weekend.
Good night.